To this video, we will go through an example of Java programming and we'll look at object-oriented concept called inheritance, which we discussed before, just to give you this example to better understand how it works. So we're taking an example of a bank account. I think you are familiar with this example. It's a very simple example. So we're creating something called bank account, and we gave it only one field called balance of type double, just to simplify it. We don't want to add so many and become difficult on the screen to see how it works. But if you can add other details as you think is needed. And we have a constructor, a very simple constructor that receives the balance value when you create an object of that class, and then set it to the balance. This is when you initiate creating your account and you have some money you want to put in that account. Then you can add money to the account by depositing amount, which will increase the balance by that account amount. And then you can withdraw money. To withdraw money, you need to check first this amount you want to draw is less than or equal the balance in the account. Otherwise, the bank will not allow you to withdraw more than what you have in your account in most cases. So basically, you just decrease the balance by that amount. If the condition is not met, then you display a message to the user saying you don't have enough money. And then getting the balance, this one, and printing the balance using the $, and the other one printing the balance. You can see you have the same method repeated but with different, one with no parameters, one with parameters. Same thing we discussed before with the constructor. You can create a constructor with multiple parameters in this case. Then with the bank account, you can look at it like the parent, but in Java we call it super class. Now that super class, we will use it to create another more specific account, which we call it saving account. So the saving account is a very specific account of the bank account. And why? Because basically it uses the bank account as the basis for creating the saving account. So the command here we use is class saving account. This is the new name. Extends. Extends means take everything in the parent and extend it, add additional thing to it, or in the super class. So now the super class is bank account. Everything in this bank account, the balance, the constructor, the methods we have are now part of the saving account. So the saving account has access to them, can change them, can display their data, can do whatever it wants to do with them, because they are part of the saving account, or the child. The child has everything in the father, plus has its own thing to do. So saving account now, the child one. The bank account is the super class, and everything in the bank account is part of the child one, which saving account. So the saving account thinks it's not enough to have just only the balance. Let's add interest rate, and saving account usually put there to generate some saving, and it has some association with interest rate in this case. So this child saving account has the balance and interest rate. The balance coming from the father class and interest rate coming from its own. Now come to the constructor. In the parent class, we have a constructor called bank account. Why? Because it has to match the same name as the class name, and it receives only one parameter. The child, what the name of the constructor of the child class will be. it will be the same as the child name. So the child here saving account, so the constructor is again saving account. But the difference, it receives two parameters because it has the access to the parent constructor that require the balance, and also has its own parameters. So there are two parameters here. Now, if you want to set the balance, there are two different ways to do it. This is one which basically we are calling the parent constructor by using the word super. Super means the parent. So we're using the super word, which we're calling the constructor of the super class, and passing to it balance. Why? Because as we can see, this constructor here of the super require the balance. By saying super balance means we are calling the constructor of the super class and we're passing to it the balance. Remember, when we call the constructor, there is no super dot then the constructor name. No, it's just only super. But if you call a method of the super class, we'll use super then dot the method of the super class. We'll come to that later. Now let's here saying super balance, and then we're passing the balance to the super class. Now we need also to set the interest rate, and we use this parameter coming from here to set the interest rate by using the word this. The word this means we are referring to the saving account. The word super means we are referring to the super class, which is the class that used to create the child, or the class that the child extended to build additional functionalities to do. So this is the constructor here. Basically, we require those two parameters. First step, we're setting the constructor of the super class by passing the balance, and then we're setting the constructor, then setting the field of the child class. This line we could have changed it to be super dot balance equal balance, and that could have worked if that the right data modifier is in place. You can try this one yourself and see what you will get. But this is how it is now. Now the other method we have is the deposit. As you remember, deposit here is a very simple. You just get an amount and then you increase the balance. This is in the normal bank account. But in the saving account, it's little different, because the saving account has something called interest rate. So you need first to calculate the amount of interest rate, add it to the amount, then you add it to the balance. So in this case, what we're doing, we're saying super deposit. So now we're referring to the method deposit of the super class, and because we're using super deposit, we don't rewrite it again, we're just calling it in this way. But what we're doing, we're changing the calculation, as we said before. In the normal in the normal bank account, we just add it to the balance. Here we need to do this calculation. So we multiply the amount by the interest rate, then add the value to the amount, then we send it to the super class to set the new balance or add it to the balance. And this we call it override, because we change the functionality or the logic of the code. The logic before, just add the amount to the balance. Now the logic is calculate the interest, add it to the amount, add it to the balance. So this is called override. There's something else called overload. Overload, you just take the further method as it is and you add other things to it. additional component, but without changing the logic of the original one, which in the file. This, I have to say, is not the best maybe example of override, because not doesn't make it very clear. We'll do another one to make it very clear for you. The last method we have is just get the interest rate. This is a normal getter one. We didn't add all the getter and setters, just to simplify the code on the screen. Before your code, make sure you add all your setters and getters to make sure the code is usable and others can use it. So we finished the two classes we have, and quick revision on what are these two classes. The first one we have is the normal bank account, and as you can see, we have just one variable and few methods and one constructor. Then we created one based on the parent class by using the word extends parent class, and we added one additional parameter. And then we had a constructor that now receive two parameters and use the first one to set the superclass constructor and the other one to set the specific field of this child class. And then we have the deposit one. We took the father deposit one, and what we did override to that method by calculating the interest rate, adding the amount to the amount, sending it to the balance. Now, how we can use all these classes we have? We'll go to the main, and let's create a regular account, which we based on the on the bank account, the normal bank account. The normal class require only one parameter, which is the balance. So we creating an object called regular, passing the balance, then we depositing 500 will be 1,500, then we removing from that 200 will become 1,300, printing the outcome. If you run here the code, you will see here, that's it. So the balance became 1,300 and printed twice, once with dollar, one with the other one with British European euro amount. Now this is straightforward. Now the second one, we now created a saving account. Because it's a saving account object, it needs two things. One is the balance, and the other one, it needs the interest rate. And then it uses it to calculate that one. And then we will do the deposit of 500. Now the 500 will not go just like 500. It will be calculated by adding interest amount. So 0.5 multiply 500 will be $25 or dirhams or whatever it is. Then add it to the 1,000, so will become 1,525. And you can see it became 1,525, and then printing the outcome. So this is a very simple example, show you how you can create a class and then extend it to create another child class, and then you add different additional parameter to there. How you call the constructor of the child class by calling the constructor of the superclass, and then adding the other fields to it to do. And also we have seen override by taking a method that in the superclass, and we have rewritten that method again with different calculations. And we know now how we can create a superclass and child class. Now someone will ask a question, do really I need to do this one to be able to create a child class? The answer is no. If I just remove this one completely from my code and run this code, what I will get, of course it will ignore all this one and it will jump directly to here. So creating an object called saving account, let's take this line as well and add it here. Yeah, so if we have this one, so we're creating the account, then we're displaying the balance and then adding 500 and displaying the balance. So in this case, what we will get, we will see we have 1000 when we created the account. Now we added 500, became 1525. So creating the child object, you don't need to create a parent object before that one, because when you create the child, it uses the parent parameters you need. And later